Everyone, and welcome to today's session. A warm welcome to all of you who are joining us from different parts of the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening in your time zones. We are now live, and I can see many of the attendees have started joining in on this meeting and are streaming in on YouTube as well. For everyone who has joined in on this meeting, we'd love to know which city are you exactly dialing in from. The chat box is now open. You can drop which city are you exactly dialing in from, and we have about 100 odd people right now. For all those who have joined just now, if you can let us know in the chat which city are you exactly joining in from. We have students joining in from Ghana, Kumasi, from Greater Noida, Delhi NCR, India, some from Mumbai as well, from Chandigarh, north of India as well, students from Delhi again, someone from Delhi. We'll be waiting for the next 2 minutes. Let us know in the chat which city are you exactly dialing in from and have joined this meeting. We have students who are joining in from Hyderabad, Bangalore, from Nigeria, from Africa. That's wonderful. We have students who are joining us from the lengths and breadths of the world exactly. All right. Getting started quickly, introducing myself. I am Moin Matarnaik and I am representing Seed Global Education today. We are a higher education strategy consultancy firm based out in the United Kingdom, and we specialize in helping high potential students like everyone who has joined us today in achieving their dream of either pursuing a STEM master's or a business master's degree at top global universities like the George Washington University. Today, over the next 1 hour, we will be discussing what global employers, be it Mang Plus, a Big Four, be it various service based companies, startups, are actually looking for in graduate engineers today. Global employers look for more than technical knowledge today. Well, AI has solved that for all the employers. They are seeking for engineers who can solve complex problems, communicate clearly, collaborate effectively, and adapt to fast changing environments like today. Hands on experience, including research projects, internships, design challenges, are essential for students to demonstrate the ability to apply knowledge in real world settings. International students for global employers do bring unique strengths such as cultural awareness, adaptability, fresh perspectives that can set them apart in various multinational teams. Located in the heart of Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, the George Washington University School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, or as they call themselves, GW Engineering, is a beacon for transformative education, research, and innovation. Driven by a deep commitment to interdisciplinary collaboration, GW Engineering empowers students to become tomorrow's problem solvers and equipping them to address the world's most pressing challenges. Ranked among the top engineering schools, GW Engineering boasts an impressive network with nearly 300 leading companies such as Amazon, Cisco, Google, the World Bank actively recruiting its graduates. With its unique location in Washington, D.C., GW Engineering leverages its proximity to government agencies, businesses, and international organizations, empowering students and faculty to make impactful contributions globally. With this, we would be quickly starting with our today's masterclass. And before we begin, we have a quick poll for everyone who has joined us. We have about 200 odd students who have dialed in so far, and we'll be quickly starting with our first poll, and it's on your screens right now. Which of the following skills do you believe global employers today value most in graduate engineers? Do you think it's technical depth and problem solving, data structure algorithms, which are a part of it, be it communication and teamwork, practical project experience, or adaptability and global mindset? What do you think are global employers most looking for in graduate engineers? We'll wait for another 10 seconds. Last 5 seconds. Last 2 seconds, and we would be up with the poll. All right. Here are the results which have come up. So many of you all believe that global employers today are looking for students and graduate engineers who have vast technical depth and problem solving skills, and at the same time can articulate and communicate the business language and believe in the motto of teamwork makes dream work. That's from the first poll. Proceeding ahead with introducing our guest speakers who have joined us today, we have with us Ms. Shalvona Tichi, who is the Director of CEAS Career Services at GW Engineering, and helping students turn their academic experiences into meaningful career opportunities. Shalvona is dedicated to connecting students with professional development, experiential learning, and real world opportunities that prepare students for success in engineering and technology fields. Before joining GW, Shalvona worked at the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business, connecting Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, and startups to students through interviews, various programs, and multitude of events. Our next speaker who is joining us today is Ms. Catherine Hugins. Catherine is the Associate Director of Admissions and International Partnerships at the George Washington University School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. With over 11 years of experience in graduate admissions, Catherine specializes in international recruitment and partnership building. Catherine previously served as the Assistant Director of International Graduate Admissions, playing a key role in GW Engineering's enrollment strategies for global students. She's dedicated to facilitating smooth admission processes for diverse students year on year. Thank you so much, Shalvona and Catherine, for joining us today. With this, I now hand over the floor to Shalvona.
Thank you for such a warm welcome. I am glad to join you all today. I'm glad to be in a room of such driven individuals who are excited to go into the next phase of their life, whatever it may be. Um, Today, I'm going to share a little bit about what employers are looking for, what people in hiring positions and hiring decision makers are looking for from an engineering global landscape. All right. So in 2026, your degree is no longer just a credential. It's a signal of your readiness to solve big, complex problems for employers. So pursuing specialized degrees like graduate degrees make your career path a little more competitive and clear and rewarding. While the general hiring market is projected to be stable but cautious over the last year, there is a modest growth rate overall at 1.6%, according to our National Association of Colleges and Employers. But when it comes to engineering, that trajectory is a little bit different and unique. So when you look at the statistics, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, just speaking from a U.S. perspective, it's adding roughly 186,000 new openings every year within that sector. We're not just seeing average growth, it's in certain specialized fields. So, for example, mechanical engineering, the growth is at 11%, and for electrical engineering, it's at about 9%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. These are areas that are 2 to 3 times faster than the national average, which is really exciting for those who have that interest. But even with this growth, global employers are reporting what they're calling a large competency gap. What they are saying is they have a lot of roles, but they can't find people that provide the fit and the competencies that they need. Um, Candidly, from a career services perspective, I've worked with employers from CEOs down to different coordinators, and they're all trying to solve big problems. And there's a lot of uncertainty now. So, having the ability to communicate the importance of your technical ability across different sectors and how it interplays is becoming more and more important. And that's something that you might not be able to just get with an undergraduate degree. Um, so, what employers are looking for are specific competencies and being able to see that. One moment. Okay. All right. So what's really interesting from a hiring perspective, um, there are before there used to be volume hiring. Employers were more likely to spread their net wider to look for talent and try to figure things out. Now they're being very, very specific. They're going from mass hiring to being very specific in what's called precision hiring, which means employers are now even leaving roles vacant up to 50 days, which is different than the past because they're really trying to find someone that has the competencies and the ability to translate those skills to a global audience. The world today is so interconnected, and engineers and computer scientists are really leading the way in that. So, being an engineer that is well versed and has the communication skills to say, to translate their degree and their technical knowledge to non-technical audiences in different areas is becoming more and more important. Top candidates now actually are only on the market for about 10 days. So the key takeaway from that is employers aren't looking just for traditional engineers. Again, they're looking for specific self skill sets and demonstrating those skill sets. One way that you can do that in university is pursuing different internships, different research opportunities, um, looking for anything that will give you experience in the field. That can be even looking at opportunities like I know at GW we have some opportunities to shadow employers or to visit companies like Amazon, Dell, Facebook. So anything that gives you that exposure earlier rather than later, because they're trying to keep up. So if you're already a lifelong learner, if you're excited, if you know these things, and you're able to communicate that, the better. You also want to look at the reality of 2026 market and beyond. While the general tech hiring market has leveled off, the demand for specialized engineers is really outstripping the supply, which means in certain areas like DC, which is the fourth biggest tech hub in North America, um, you might want to look at what's going on in that area. For example, we're building lots of data centers. So the opportunities for students that are valuable to employers that are building these data centers and will eventually have to maintain them have the ability to expand. About 70% of the world's internet traffic actually flows through Northern Virginia, which touches Washington, D.C., making it a unique area in the globe from a global perspective. So, using that opportunity to learn more about, from an engineering perspective, what stable demand requires, um, and how your major or programs might relate to global issues and global growth. Um, when we look at just the growth rate, um, and I know that people are kind of concerned about tech layoffs, you have to also remember employers are still citing that need for people that have really niche skills. So taking that opportunity to meet with faculty, to develop a global perspective. We have faculty from all over the globe. And then there's opportunities to do research projects that relate to larger problems. So when it comes to concerns around tech hiring, while the market I know can seem a little volatile, this has happened before. All right. So I want to help you kind of visualize what employers are looking for, and it is what's called a T-shaped professional. All right. So I talked a little bit about how employers are looking for that global perspective, but what does that really mean? And what does finding the right person, what the right competency mean? Um, Really, you can envision it as those hard technical skills that you have that you traditionally tie to growth in a company. You can envision it like this. You typically, you in the past, you have technical skills that you are able to rise up in a company. But now employers want to know that you have deep knowledge technically, but also you have broad knowledge across. And then that includes being able to tie your program and explore opportunities that that intertwine. So, looking at interdisciplinary opportunities, may it be with data science or public policy or law or business, employers are looking at that that perfect fit, as the primary reason for hiring someone. Because nowadays, there's a lot of competition, and being able to communicate how you are able to learn, but also how you are different than others is becoming more and more important. You want to think about your strongest technical skills, and then think about how can I use that to communicate real world solutions to my teammates and to leadership within my company, my future company. All right. So I actually want to do for everyone listening, hopefully you have a piece of paper or your phone or even your computer. And we're going to take just 2 minutes to silently reflect on your top technical skills. I want you to do two columns. In the first column, where I want you to list your top three technical skills. And in the second column, I'd like you to list one time that you've used each skill to solve a problem, either for a teammate on an assignment, or a professor, or for a client, because I know a lot of students have their own companies as well. So I will give you approximately 60 to 90 seconds to fill out those two columns, and I'll pause for some reflection time. And as you write, if you are unsure about what you're interested in, what your technical skills or abilities are, and you want to take an assessment to help you identify that, I've put a link that provides you an in-depth assessment tool that lets you inventory your skill sets and compare it to what employers are looking for. All right. So you should be wrapping up shortly. You hopefully you have time a little later if you are unable to complete this exercise. You can do that a little bit later. Now we're going to build upon the time that you had to reflect on your your best technical skills and when the times that you use them. Now I want you to think about uh, trying to explain that situation and the value to a non-engineer. Like, why does that skill set save a company money or time? And how would you articulate that specifically using numbers, using specific examples? How would you boil that down to one statement that employers, no matter what company they're from, whether it's a startup to a Fortune 500 company to a internet multinational company, um, think about how you would explain that value to a non-engineer. If you can't do that, you don't really have that exact competency fit yet. And that's the importance of once you enter graduate school, partnering with different offices, specifically your career services office, so they can talk to you about communicating that skill and to present yourself as a T-shaped future employee to make you that, to be able to communicate that perfect fit. Um, that is what's called a translation gap, and sometimes employers have a hard time understanding the value proposition. So, what we do in career services is to help you prepare for employers and to communicate that. Um, all right, all right. So, I want to jump to what some responses might have looked like if you got stuck. Um, Let me skip to one more. All right. So if you wanted to know what some of those answers might look like, um, for example, I have some examples here. If there was a tool that you are familiar with or technology that you have are very familiar with and you think that helps you stand out, here are some examples of how you would communicate that. So here you can see um, the tool being Tableau. So if you have strong skill set in that and you want to communicate that to a non-engineer, you might talk about how the team is losing time, and this can allow a CEO to see real-time data, cutting down on the time it takes to make a decision. And that would really speak volumes to prospective employers rather than saying, I have um, been able to attain a specific GPA. GPAs are important, but that experience and to be able to tie it to real world scenarios is what is important now. Solid responses are T-shaped responses. Typically, they talk about hours saved, dollars protected, or competitive speed. Um, that is the horizontal bar of the T-shape. Right. So I can't talk about 2026 without talking about AI. The reality is global employers aren't necessarily looking for you to build the next chat GPT. They're not looking for you to master everything, but they are looking for what's called AI augmented engineers. So about 10.5% of all entry level posts now explicitly require AI literacy. Um, employers want to see that you can use AI to speed up design cycles or automate data modeling. They want to know more than you know Python. They want to be able to hear how maybe you used AI to augment a workflow and then it saved 10 hours, a 10-hour it moved a 10-hour simulation down to 2 hours. That's speaking time, that's speaking money. And then that is also using AI. A lot of students and young professionals are worried that AI might take their jobs. Um, as those that are really well versed likely in the topic, we're a little bit away from that, but that fear is there. But AI is not necessarily going to take everyone's job, but engineers that know and are more familiar with and able to use it more effectively might beat you out in an interview. So seeking opportunities to figure out how AI can interact with your world of work, even if it's not directly something that you were anticipating going deeper in, it will make you more competitive. And it will also help you eventually move your repetitive tasks to the side, making you more competitive in the work field. So really, you want to be able to use AI agents. You want to be able to leverage LLMs. You want to be able to stay ahead of the curve, but also be able to cut through the noise because as we know, new things are coming out every day. So being able to figure out what to focus on, becoming really good at that thing, and maintaining that. Employers are looking for people that can essentially are architects and becoming more generalized knowledge with also having deep technical knowledge. If you are a technical graduate, like you guys will be, or you guys are, AI literacy is 30%, about like 30% more likely to help you secure roles in high growth industries. So like energy, green energy, semiconductors, those areas. So think about how that can help you with your job search and with career and also with career services. Um, when considering a university, thinking about how AI can also help your job search and make it more uh, um, smoother and less stressful. Next, I want to talk a little, I'm going to do a time check really quick. Okay. Talk really quickly about navigating the F1 career journey. Uh, it is a process. If you are interested in studying in the US and then getting global experience or having a longer term employment, there is a very clear pathway for that. Um, for global employers, if you are able to study abroad, say in the US specifically, you can think about the 36-month STEM OPT as not just a work permit, but a 3-year professional trial. Now, engineering firms are viewing this runway as really vital to justifying um, either staying in the US to work or moving to different areas where they might have global presence. So having a knowledge of that runway and that timeline is very important. But with the good news is career services and teams like CAT can help you with that. Um, to just help people with the overall stress of things. The denial rate for petitions for H-1B is actually hit a record low of 1.4. Um, according to latest reports. And then also having a graduate degree helps people justify and move through global hiring options. So companies, again, are thinking globally. That might mean looking looking at opportunities after your graduate degree in areas where that skill set has a really high demand. That might look like other countries, and companies are coming to realize that. So having someone that has not only a diverse perspective, has experience somewhere else, but also is able to carry that on a global stage. And having a specialized degree makes that really clear when it comes to work obligations and makes graduate degrees more appealing to certain level employers. I'm just going to give you a little example to kind of picture what global employers look for and how students can navigate that. There are two students, both ended up going to Amazon, and that looked very different. So I'll tell you about I had a student worker who actually is graduating early. He is our fellow, originally from Bangalore, I believe. And he started working in our office, used his um, first opportunity when he was able to intern, use career services, got an opportunity to intern at Amazon in Seattle over the summer, came back, did student employment. He was actually just offered a full-time role and will be moving to Seattle in the middle of January. So that's exciting. He used on-campus employment, CPT, and then now is going to go on to use OPT because he had that experience. And he complains about having to move a lot, but it eventually has led him to where he's at. Then we have another student who also moved to the US, minimal networking, and having that ability to network has landed him an internship at Amazon. I mean, it landed him at Amazon as well, but he used his time doing a research project to show that he had project leadership and that prepared him to be able to communicate why he was effective. So those were different pathways to the same company. Um, and they both took advantage of experiential learning and career services. And finally, um, I have one more question just for you to consider. I want you to imagine it's 2029, maybe 2030, and you just finished up a major project. It could be in the US, it could be in another country. And what is one skill or one experience you want to be able to say, I'm glad I did that, or that dream that I had when I was younger, I actually made it happen. And think about the actions that you have to take and the person you have to become and the communities that you have to join to become that person. And I want you to let that guide you through this path because I threw a lot of numbers out there. Employers are always going to have a list of things that they want. Um, but what's important at the end of the day is being that lifelong learner and having the broadest perspective that you possibly can. You already are technically minded, you have that, but just figuring out how to communicate that as the world changes and evolves and becomes more complex, long as you're able to bundle that, maintain calm, and communicate, um, I think we'll be able to really make some changes. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Chalvona, for sharing all the insights and your expertise into it. And I'm sure that all the students who have joined today have definitely got to learn a great deal of things and get ready to go out there into the global workforce and excel out there. All right. Before we begin with the next segment, we have a quick poll coming up, and I'll be starting that right away. Just a second. Yeah. The second poll is on your screens. As an international applicant, for everyone who has joined us today, which aspect of the application process are you looking more clarity on? Are you looking to find the perfect program fit for yourself and the academic requirements? Are you looking at more clarity on English proficiency tests and standardized score requirements? More information on visa related documentation and the next steps after admission, or on application deadlines, review timeline, and decision making? We would be waiting for another 10 seconds for everyone to respond. Last 5 seconds. All right. Here are the results, everyone. So many of you all are actually looking forward to understanding the perfect program fit for yourself and the academic requirements which are there, and also visa related documentations and what are the next steps after admissions. Okay. This, as we all know, it's the festive season. So, Catherine, I would like to invite you to elaborate a bit more on the magic quotient which is required for students to navigate through the application process for graduate education.
Of course. Thank you so much, Moen, for hosting this session. And thank you to everybody who's here today listening in. Shalvana's presentation was fascinating. I took a lot of notes, and I hope you guys did too. But before we get to the Q&A session, I'm going to speak really briefly about our university and our programs that we offer here. So again, my name is Catherine Huggins. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions and International Partnerships here at the School of Engineering and Applied Science. Now, as you might already know, we are located in Washington, D.C., which is the capital of the United States. Um, we're right downtown in the heart of the city, very easy to get around. And I just wanted to talk to you really briefly about where you are in the cycle right now, right? You are considering applying to graduate school, you're thinking about where you want to be, what you want to study, potentially what career you want to have after that program. So when you're doing that, when you're in this process, there are a couple things that we encourage you to consider. I think it's really important that you think obviously about the quality of the program and the faculty, but the quality is going to be dependent on your specific interests. You know, rankings are certainly present. They provide good information, but I always encourage students to see it as a jumping off point. Rankings are there to tell you some information, but not all information. A lot of times, rankings are based on undergraduate studies. A lot of them are taking into account information like housing and on-campus dining and other things that are good to know, but might not be relevant if you're thinking about the academic quality that you're going to be having. So if you can find the methodology of rankings, great. But those should always just be the jumping off point because one school might have an amazing program. It might not be the program you're interested in. You might have to do some further research to find which is the best fit. And we encourage you to do so by looking at the research being done in your field. Where are those experts located? Where are they doing that research? Where did they get their degrees? That can help you to identify programs that you maybe weren't familiar with. Of course, then to think about location. You might be very familiar with living in a big city and dealing with a lot of noise, and that might be what you want for your graduate study, or you might be looking for something a little different. You might want something to be more intimate, a smaller setting versus a larger scale school. Those are all things that are going to help you to narrow down your programs. Do you like the cold? Um, that's something to consider, especially if you're thinking about moving to the United States, where the weather can be drastically different in different parts of this country. Then, of course, facilities matter. Make sure that you are looking to see what resources you will have access to if you do enroll in that school. Where are you going to be able to do your research? What benefits are you going to have as a student on that campus? Are you going to have to travel really far to do some of that work, or is it going to be readily available to you? Of course, I'm sure Shalvana would agree, career services in the alumni network is very important when you're looking at any school to study at. Um, these are the people you are going to be tied to this university for the rest of your life. It's going to be on your resume. And this is the alumni network that you're going to be a part of. So how can it benefit you? And what can you see is going on already just from that outside view that makes you excited? And then, of course, taking a look at the types of financial assistance that are available to applicants. When do certain opportunities become available to students? That information is never hidden from you. Every school is going to be trying to make this as publicly available as possible. And our websites are there to help you to learn that information that you're trying to find. But the most important thing, again, just to reiterate, is finding the program that is the best fit for you. You might have a friend who went to another program in the US who's having a grand old time. That doesn't mean that that's the best program for you. You're going to have to do research. You're really going to have to think about what you want to get out of this program, what's going to benefit your goals personally, and that'll really help you to start identifying the right grad program. So to speak a little bit about George Washington, as I mentioned, we're located in Washington, D.C. We're made up of about 3 campuses. So our main one is where I'm speaking to you from today. It's in that Foggy Bottom neighborhood, about 5 blocks away from the White House, 2 blocks away from the World Bank and the IMF. We also have our Mount Vernon campus, which has some athletic and residential buildings. And then we have our Virginia Research and Technology Center, where some research is happening out there as well. And we have shuttles that go between all 3 campuses that makes it really easy for students to get around. We are unique in that we are predominantly a graduate institution, so we have more students studying at the master's and PhD level than compared to our bachelor's students. We were recently invited to join the American Association of Universities, which we are very proud of. We feel it really reflects our Tier 1 research institution status. Of the 70 or so member universities in this association, that represents about 60 to 70% of all the research happening in higher ed in the United States. So the fact that we are on that list, we are very proud and happy to be there. We feel it reflects where our focus and attention goes towards. The university itself is made up of 14 colleges and schools. So we have our School of Business, our Columbian College of Arts and Sciences, our School of Medicine and Health Sciences, and more. But specifically, of course, as you know, we have our School of Engineering and Applied Science, which is where I'm talking to you from. Our School of Engineering has 6 academic departments that includes biomedical engineering, civil and environmental engineering, computer science, electrical and computer engineering, engineering management and systems engineering, and mechanical and aerospace engineering. In those 6 departments, we do offer 11 fields of study, and we have about 80 plus tenured and tenure track faculty members. At the graduate level at the School of Engineering, we have about 1,100 students at the master's and PhD level, which means that you really are going to benefit from that smaller class size. You're going to get to know your faculty directly. You're not going to be in a large 300 student lecture hall or anything. You're going to be in more personalized settings with our experts who are teaching, they are conducting research, some of them are working in the industry in their fields, and you're really going to get the benefit of their expertise in the classroom, which is a little bit about what I wanted to talk about in this slide again. And then as Shalvana talked about, we are strongly connected to industry based on our location. Washington, D.C., again, is the 4th largest tech hub in the United States. And we have long-standing connections through research and internships and alumni, through many different companies, some that you obviously know about, like the World Bank and Amazon and Facebook, Meta, and so many more, but also those companies that maybe you're not familiar with that are looking for engineers to pursue their work and reach their goals and are really going to benefit from our students. And then being in the Washington, D.C. area, really easy to get around. As I've already said, we have a wonderful metro system. And our main campus in Foggy Bottom is right next to a metro stop, which means it's super easy for our students to commute to and from their housing, to their campus, to their internship, and so many more. So it gets really easy to make it to that internship, to that job that you might have during your summer break or anything like that. Of course, I'm talking to you today from within our science and engineering hall. This is our main building for engineering students in that Foggy Bottom neighborhood. This is where we hold the majority of our engineering classes. It's where our faculty have their offices. It's where our admin teams have our staff, our admissions office, our career services, our dean suite are all based as well. And then we also have a lot of our research spaces in here. So we have a class 100 nanofabrication clean room. We have a high bay with a strong wall and a strong floor. We have some high resolution imaging suites and more. We also have some interdisciplinary research spaces. So, for example, our School of Medicine has a cancer institute on the higher floors. So, students really get to benefit from that interdisciplinary research possibilities with all of the hard sciences that have spaces in this building. Not to mention, it's just a nice place for students to hang out. Right now, it's finals, so I'm seeing a lot of students in our different study rooms working together, getting ready on their study guides. A lot of our walls are glass and plexiglass, and students can write on it with with washable markers. And so I walk by a lot of interesting equations as I come into the office, which is always fun to see that students abandon to go to their class. But it's really centrally located and easy for students to access, and it will be your home if you do come to GW. As I mentioned, we have 11 different degree fields. So you can see that list right here. We are also adding a program in AI and machine learning. That's newly approved, so I forgot to add it to this list, but that's something to be aware of. Of course, if it says master's only, that means that we don't offer it at the PhD level, but the rest of the programs we do. Our master's programs are typically 2 years in length, and they are thesis optional, so you get to decide whether or not you want to pursue research. And then our PhD programs are typically 4 to 6 years, depending on if you're coming in with a prior master's. Application requirements, very easy, very simple, same as most schools. You have to complete an online application. If you've studied outside of the US, you will most likely have to submit English language test scores. Our minimums are listed here and on our website. The GRE is not required for any of my applications, and we do ask for letters of recommendation, either from an academic or a professional, 2 for a master's, 3 for PhD, and then, of course, a statement of purpose, copy of your resume, copies of your unofficial transcripts. If you've studied in India, we do require individual semester mark sheets with backlogs, and you do have to have the equivalent of a bachelor's degree. In terms of funding, we do offer merit scholarships to our master's applicants. They range from 25 to 75%. There's no separate application. If you apply for admission, you will be considered for one of these scholarships. And then at the doctoral level is where you'll see the more traditional full funding offer with full tuition coverage as well as a monthly stipend for living expenses and potentially a salary as well, depending on the work you're doing. I would talk about the W. Scott Career Services Center, but Shalvana has been here, so you've heard a little bit about some of the work that they do. As I said, they're located right here in our main building. They offer career guidance, resume building, cover letter assistance. They'll bring employers to campus to do some of the work that Shalvana was talking about, networking, things like that. They'll support you through CPT and OPT and have employer visits and career fairs and more. So great benefit. Please, if you come to GW, work with Shalvana's team. And then one last thing before I open it up to questions, we do offer an opportunity for you to chat directly with one of our graduate students. So this is just a sampling of some of my students right now. We've got a couple others, but you can go on our website and chat directly with Nok or Ibrahim to ask about their experiences in their programs, why they chose GW, how they like DC, how they like the cold, things like that. And then last, for attending today's session, you do qualify for an application fee waiver. Very easy, it's Seed MC 2025, so feel free to take a screenshot or make a note. If you use that code, it will waive the application. But that's it for me. I know I went a little longer than I wanted to. I apologize for that. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have now.
All right. Thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation, Catherine. And I'm pretty sure that answers most of the questions which students would have had before they joined this session. We'll quickly dig into the questions which have come up. Some of the questions, I know we are running a bit short on time. Shalwana, the first question is towards you. Akshay is asking, how can international students stand out while they start applying for jobs in multinational companies? Broadening it up a bit, how does graduate education equip a student better to go out in the job market rather than a student who has not pursued graduate education?
What's different about a graduate education is it takes your thinking to a higher and a deeper level. So, Kat talked a little bit about the importance of relation or the importance of having well-rounded faculty. At the graduate level, your relationship with faculty are different. You're able to dive into problems um, a little differently, and the faculty might have connections to companies that make these exploring your field and your domain a little more rich. And that's what a master's degree provides you. It's just a different perspective that allows you to speak more globally, speak at a higher level, like to leadership about problems or solutions that an undergraduate might not be able to do.
Thank you so much for that, Shalwana. Catherine, the next question I would like to direct towards you. Yashrun is asking us as to how can applicants best demonstrate the alignment between their past experiences, graduate study goals, and long-term impact without sounding overly scripted in the statement of purpose. I know we are living in the age of AI, and many of the students do rely on AI to draft their statement of purposes. But yes, how can students find the right balance while drafting the statement?
That's a great question. I would say first off, don't be heavily reliant on AI. Right now, AI is, what it basically does is it takes the aggregate, it assumes what the most likely thing is going to be the answer, the most average statement. That's not what you're looking to do in your statement of purpose. We're not looking to read 1,000 statements of purposes that are all saying vaguely the same thing. We're really looking to better understand your individual story and how GW engineering fits into the path that you are pursuing. Do we have faculty that you want to work with? Do we have courses that are going to help you in your future technical skill building? Is there a reason why you want to be in Washington, D.C. specifically? That's not something that AI can tell me in your words. You can fiddle with AI as much as you want to try and get it close, but at the end of the day, it's not you. We want to hear directly from you. And the thing I always tell students is your statement of purpose is the one place on your application where you get to advocate for yourself. Your transcripts, you can't change the past. You can't change those grades. Your letters of recommendation are being written by faculty. And I would hope they're writing it themselves. You don't want them using AI either for that very reason. You want people to be taking the time and thinking about you and caring about your future. And we want you to do that same in that statement of purpose because again, resume, you can't change what you've worked on. Test scores, you can study, but those are your scores. The statement of purpose is the one chance where you personally get to speak to our faculty, to our admissions staff, and to really make the case for why you should be admitted. And you don't want to give that up to an AI chatbot. So
Mhm.
lots of ways to balance it, but the most important would be taking the time and telling us what you think we want to hear, like what you want to tell us. What do we need to know about you?
And
Uh,
I want to tie this to a question that was in the chat too, because it looks like Ariane Chowdhury asked, what's a common mistake engineering graduates make when preparing for a global career? A lot of our employers and the career services professionals have noticed our engineering students are overly using AI and it's underselling them to employers. And they're telling me that they can tell when it's being used, which then puts you on a blacklist from employers, and you don't want to be on a blacklist because your applications don't get seen. So I think over relying on being really good technically is a really big problem within engineering right now.
Got it. Thank you so much for that, Shalvana. Shalvana, during your presentation, you mentioned that many of the global MNCs are not looking forward to the students or the graduate engineers to build the next Chat GPT or Gemini or Claude or something of that sort. Shalvana, the world is now moving towards solving for the local economy. So, how does the Career Services Department as GW Engineering help students build a career in that direction when they are thinking more on the entrepreneurial side?
Okay. So we do have an office that focuses specifically on entrepreneurship and individuals focus specifically on that if that is a path that you want to go. I think that's also an opportunity to leverage the network and the what's available in the city that you attend graduate school. So think about, are there funding opportunities in the area that you're attending graduate school? Are they familiar with grants and different things that can support your entrepreneurial spirit?
Got it. Thank you so much for that, Shalvana. Catherine, the next question would be towards you. Somasani is asking, do internship and research projects matter more than GPA when applying for global roles or applying for a graduate admission as well? Um, how can the student find a right balance between all the components of their application?
Yeah, of course. So I can speak to admissions and Shavana can speak to careers. For the purpose of admissions, obviously your academics do matter. This is an academic program, so we are going to be looking at your academic background and your trajectory in your coursework, not so much your CGPA. Obviously, we have that information, we'll take it into account, but we also want to make sure that, you got consecutively better over the course of the program. Two students could end up with an 8 out of 10 CGPA, but if one student started off with all 10s and then was finishing the program with 6s versus another student started with 6s and ended with 10s, those are telling two very different stories in terms of what that CGPA is telling us at the end of the semester or at the end of their program. And in the United States, we do something called holistic review. So, what that means is that all components of your application will be considered and carry weight. That's why we ask for them. We're not just giving you busy work. That statement of purpose has value. Your resume is telling us things you've done outside of the classroom. Hearing from professionals or academics who've worked with you personally can give us an insight that your transcripts just doesn't provide. So, all of those factors matter. But how it all comes together is going to depend on your individual background and how you construct that narrative in what you're putting in that resume, what you're choosing to highlight, and how you're constructing that statement of purpose and who you're asking to write those letters of recommendation.
Thank you so much for that, Catherine. Shalvana, there's one question which has come up, which is how can graduate engineers improve their employability for international job markets, and how does a graduate program help them towards it?
Okay. So coming kind of tied to what I was saying earlier about a graduate degree providing you with a mindset that undergraduate doesn't provide you with, um, attuning, attuning how you communicate that new mindset. Because you are in the graduate classes, that's great. You're going to perform great. You're going to participate in experiential learning. I think at a graduate level, that also includes when you're learning about what companies want and you're in a research project, you might learn what you don't like. But that doesn't mean that it can't inform your future career. So it's being able to have that level of thinking to say, to integrate what you're learning in the classroom, what you might not have liked, but how does that feed into other things? And then also opening your mind. So, for example, we have an employer who is a patent law firm there, and but they need engineers to be able to overview what they're working on. So that's something that engineers might not specifically think that that they can go into. But having that deeper mindset, and having the skill set, um, to do multifaceted work is something that differentiates, an undergrad from a grad level.
Got it. Thank you so much for that, Shalwana. Catherine and Shalwana, one last question. I know, Catherine, you spoke about this quite at length in your presentation, but one of the key factor which a student takes into consideration is how's the campus life while making a decision as to which graduate school do they want to go and study at.
Mm.
So if you can highlight a bit more on that as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the student life is kind of vary. What I will say about Washington, D.C. is that we are a very international city, which I think is a great benefit to our students and our community. Not just our campus, but across the city. We have people from all over the world. If you're ever craving food from home, you can probably find it within the city limits or just outside in Maryland or Virginia. Um, but it also creates a very welcoming community. You know, people are used to meeting people who are moving here for the very first time from all over the world, getting to know whoever they're doing, whatever they're doing. I've got lots of students who talk about the joy they get from exploring their different communities, taking a scooter to go around Washington, D.C., seeing the sites that they've only ever seen in movies, and then getting to know the intimate things that only somebody who lives here will get to know once it becomes your home. And again, as I've already said, I would strongly encourage you to chat with one of my graduate ambassadors. I shared the link in the chat just now to really ask one of my students what their experience is like and what they like about DC and why they chose to be here. Um, they've got a lot to say about the student experience, and that's why they're there. I was a graduate student at GW, but I was a full-time employee at the same time. And so I got a lot of the benefits of living here, but also I was very tired. So some of my graduate ambassadors can talk more about what it's like to be here as an engineer.
And being in the DC area is pretty awesome if you are someone that wants to get out there, meet different people. If you are interested, especially with the competency gap I talked about, the way around that and to be, appealing to people that are hiring is being around them, being in communities. In DC has a lot of different groups. If you are interested in something, there is a group for it, but you have to put that effort in into finding it. So an example is I do have an employer who likes to recruit on gaming sites because he knows that people that like to game tend to be engineers. So that's a cool way to start looking for talent, but you have to join that group, to be a part of it. So doing that, and then DC also offers lots of cool things. The student I told you about that went to Amazon, he's sad because he has to leave his apartment because his balcony, he can see the Washington Monument from it. So every morning he has his coffee and looks at the Washington Monument, and he's going to have to leave now. But we're really proud of him for getting his job.
Yeah. There are lots of
Thank
really
you.
cool places in DC too. One of my favorite recommendations, if you ever come here and are a student, my favorite place to study was the National Portrait Gallery. Has a
Mhm.
covered courtyard, so you can go there in the winter, feel like you're outside, but get the benefit of indoor heating, which is always not everyone knows about that place. And then you can go check out the art after, which is my favorite thing to do.
Yeah. And there's so many cool events. I know, or Amazon's right here, so going to some of their cloud computing, courses or workshops, like you can go in person, to a lot of networking events. And then because it's Washington, D.C., conferences like to come here. So NVIDIA just did a conference not that long ago, Microsoft, so students have like easier access to programs that you might not have otherwise when you're not located in the nation's capital.
Got it. Thank you so much for that, Shalvana and Catherine.
Yeah.
On a side note, for all the participants who are still there in our today's masterclass, George Washington University School of Engineering and Applied Science is also offering scholarships under the Seed Scholarship Fund. They're offering more than 14 plus awards covering up to 75% of your tuition fees. There are awards worth totaling more than 350K US dollars for the fall 2026 intake. And the application deadline for the round two of the scholarship is closing on 5th of December. So if you are looking forward to applying at GW Engineering for fall 2026 intake, definitely you should go and apply for the scholarship as soon as possible. With that, thank you so much, Shalvana and Catherine, for giving your time today and helping the students in making their decision and moving towards a more global career. Thank you so much.
Thank you for hosting us, Moen.
Yeah, thank you. Happy holidays to everyone who has joined us today. Bye bye,
Happy
and have a Merry
holidays.
Christmas.
Bye.